morning I've been feeling into how deeply passion and joy are connected to each other, and really following what our innate self really truly wants, despite what anybody else may think about, or even more so how much we want to take care of others. This is definitely for the other people out there who grew up wanting to make sure everyone else was taken care of, that all outside resources were good so that we could be safe. And I just want to acknowledge the idea that our joy, each individual experiencing joy, looks so different, and to consider the many options that are out there, and the fact that someone else's joy may look different from yours. So, for example, what really gives me deep satisfaction and joy is creating films, is having deep and meaningful conversations, is exploring, is so many other things, that deal with the deep, the mystical, whatever that may be. But why I said films and creating first is filmmaking is, for me, the most alchemically joyful processes, even though it can seem to be really difficult and challenging and layered. And I think I've been learning lately that there's actually another deeper joy in allowing things to be simple within that process, such as, let me work with what I have now. I think we talked about this the other day, is this deep joy in being in presence and being like, oh, okay, it's summertime in New York. This is actually the ideal weather and temperature that I wanted to be able to get this done. And just feeling into that, and allowing the body to be a guide, and trusting this process that I'm in, somebody else's process, and comparing to another person's process. For example, maybe that person needs and wants to get all of their finances in a row, or all of their living situations in a row, where maybe it's deeply joyful and satisfying for people to go for a job that they never experienced, where however it looks, it might be somebody going and traveling, it might be somebody resting and deciding, I'm going to rest despite all of these other things and factors. It might even be someone going and speaking up and using their voice in small and big ways, because all of those expressions are sacred, right? And we have to allow each other to be in our unique shapes. A good friend of mine always talks about the word equanimity instead of just equality, right? Because equality, although it is a great idea and a great platform, and to be able to have everyone have equal access to certain things, that there's very, very good benefits to that. And when we come into the place of equanimity, it is actually more communal. It is more inclusive, actually, because it allows me to be who I am, and then you to be who you are at our most authentic level, and we get to co-create together, because perhaps your skills in your specific area and my skills in my area can complement each other, You know, I might need your legal help. You might need help creating something, you know, a film, or, you know, just getting in touch with your creativity. You know, you might need someone literally to just show up and help you prune some trees, or learn how to play music, or whatever that may be, cook more consciously. You know, none of us are meant to do it all, right? We can. There's a really wonderful experience of, yeah, I have the ability to do these things and experiment. And things become easier when we get to delegate, right? To someone who does it better and easier and is actually in their joy while doing it. Things might just seem really challenging for us right now because we're trying to manage all of these things, a whole conundrum of things that bring us joy and a ton of other things that bring us frustration and confusion and help, and it just, you know, like, it causes a lot of stress and complexity. So it's like, can we, even if we end up still doing things by ourselves, can we even just ask one of those people, or allow ourselves to open up to hearing information that can help us and make things a little bit easier than if we just tried to keep trudging on. A saying I used to say a lot in college when I was just trying so hard and struggling is, I'm just keeping on trucking, and just the struggle is real, and like, you know, all these things. And yes, those can be relevant, and like the more that we allow ourselves to be present with not just what feels good, but what like really drives passion and wakes us up in our hearts, the easier the hard things can feel, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of what makes the hard things hard is because we don't know, and then we avoid because we don't know. When we shift into the space of joy, right, and we take care of that innate passion first, that ends up bringing us into a space of overflow. Whew, can we just like feel that? Like, do you ever feel this feeling of like how awesome you feel after, I don't know, doing a run, going into the water, doing something spontaneous that like just gives you energy, even taking care of plants, or making art, or cooking a good meal, even just sitting and watching a really good movie. Something in you gets ignited, so that then at that point, if there's anything challenging, you now actually have excess energy to go and roll into those places, and you might actually see different avenues that you couldn't before because you didn't have the capacity to. It's like, whoa, it's mind-blowing. You know, I've had experiences where I'll like go and I'll decide, okay, I'm gonna go outside first, or I'm gonna go make this painting first, because those are things that bring me joy, bring me energy. And when it comes to tackling the harder tasks, or even asking for help with those tasks, I now have the capacity to actually remember who I know that can help me with those things. And if I don't know anybody, I can then do the research on who can help me. You know what I mean? It makes things seem more possible and tangible in our minds when we allow ourselves the space to do things with more ease. You know, things don't have to be complex, even though sometimes they are. So I'd love to just invite you to feel where you are in this moment. If you're moving, or you're more still, if you have the opportunity to just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and down to your toes. arms, loosen your shoulders up, open up that throat, and roll your head around if that's accessible. Just tuning into your heart space, listening here. And just breathing softly, feeling your belly relax. No matter what you have going on right now, maybe there's some kind of way where you can't really get out of it, but there is a way through it. Just see if you can imagine this warm sunlight within you. Because oftentimes the way we do things comes from the quality of our inner world. So where you normally would have felt tension, stress, resistance, can we see how it would look if you were singing through it, if you were dancing through it, if you turned on some music while doing it, or if you were humming, or if you just said thank you to every little thing that you moved in your space. Right? See how that changes the quality. I want you to take a nice deep breath in and out. Gaze up, stretch up, and bring it down. It's a nice little quickie right there. And why I have this space of like, let's just transform how we're doing things first, is because oftentimes we are kind of adulting and stuff, and maybe we don't want to get out of a certain project or task we're doing. Like another method, if you were like really like, oh my god, that is, yeah, maybe take 5 or 10 minutes to just like go outside and do your thing, you know, take a break, do something that you love for that amount of time. But this method is kind of just like, let's just check in, you know, let's do this, let's get it done, because it's gonna change the way my energy moves, right? That helps me plow through all these different things, you know, and also it gets me in tune with myself, because if I'm trying to plow and it's not working, there's other ways to do things. So thank you guys for listening. This is my day 3 of a 30-day challenge of sharing all these videos. So if you'd like to stay tuned, you could subscribe, do the old thing, the YouTube thing. No, it's just cool. It's kind of nice to just kind of talk at the screen and just share to whoever ends up getting this at some point. All right, guys, peace out.